up, everybody? It's Steve. Welcome back to Atlantis Confirmed. I'm back from vacay, and I know you all missed me terribly. So I was going to do this video as a pay-per-view or whatever, but it's a subscriber appreciation video. How about that? If you guys want to join my Patreon or something like that, that would be awesome. So this is all about Da Vinci's. I believe that Da Vinci took the first photograph, and not just the first one, the first three, including the first selfie. And I know you guys would like me just to flash right on it, but the other two images are not common images. So if I don't walk you there, you're not going to understand what it is that you're looking at. So let's begin. Our story begins in the Popol Vuh, the second people that the Popol Vuh says existed. They call them the stick people, and the stick people came after the mud people, who went extinct because they couldn't procreate anymore. Says the Popol Vuh. The Popol Vuh is the Mayan religious text, like the Mayan Bible. It tells all of the history of the Quiche, which is what the Maya called themselves, and their creation story. So this is actually taken from pages of the Popol Vuh, and these are the stick people right here. And I want you to take really close notice how they're portrayed. Cone heads, very skinny, elongated bodies, and with hammers. And I think that is very important because I think that the second people of the Popol Vuh, I traced the Serpent Mound from Ohio, as I discovered that it is a topographical map of the east coast of Africa, not the shoreline, but the topography. And the egg is Lake Chad, which was a verdant paradise during the Pleistocene era, while everyone else is freezing to death. In Lake Chad, it was a verdant paradise with its own natural megaliths. That I believe that they were recreating their sacred homeland with megaliths around the world. And these hammers were how they did it. And the Popol Vuh states that it's sort of like negative against the stick people. It said they abused their grinding stones. So I think this is what they mean by their grinding stones. They hammered a lot, you know. We find in the pyramid, there was found from the Dixon relics, 3 items. One was a set of 5 pieces of wood, and you will see in the Popol Vuh, the stick people are made of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of wood. The head would be something else that you're about to see. Okay, so there they are. Only 3 objects have ever been found in the Great Pyramid. So I believe that the sticks represent the stick people of the Popol Vuh, and these were also found in the Popol Vuh. I mean, I'm sorry, in the pyramid, and I believe this is the head. So this is a religious item. This is the head, and these are the Popol Vuhs themselves. And in other videos, I've explained what that is. Basically, it's our this was from a Quiche Maya scribe. His grave goods never meant to be seen. This portion is blocked out because if you connect all the dots, all the lines, it creates a dodecahedron, which was the secret of the universe, the secret, most intrinsic part of the static ether that is the universe. In the Popol Vuh, it also says that the character Rat scratches the rafters, and the hero twins, their father's ball game equipment falls out, the Mayan ball game equipment, and that was this stuff. This is the ball. And here was the Mayan ball game. And you can see that the Mayan ball game was also based upon the Quiche Maya tablet, which is the dodecahedron, which is also our plasma deity that I've shown you before. Okay, so this is the representation. Now, this was a dolerite pounding ball, but in the story of the Maya, it became the ball right here of their fathers that they played with and such. So what I'm going to show you what else this is, and I'm going to get to the Da Vinci photographs, but again, I have to walk you there so that you understand what you're seeing. I think this is this as well. I think the inside of the pyramid, I'm showing you right now all of the connections between Mesoamerica and Egypt, which this is pre-Columbian, so this would be known as Atlantis to some people. So you can see the dimensions, and I believe that the block is this block. They just made it as a stand-up block, and I believe this mark here in the wall is to denote the center. And with this block, the reason that this was deliberately shaved off is because this line cuts through it. Right there. Also, in the Popol Vuh, there is also a similar sarcophagus or stone box that has a dagger thrust into it that breaks it like that, very similar to how we see inside the pyramid. So we've got wood from the stick people. We've got the Mayan ball game equipment. We have a sarcophagus that is also featured in a Popol Vuh. Those are three things that look very much like, and I would suggest also that the inside of these, which would make this the dodecahedron, which is what they're saying is phi, which dodecahedron we know is phi. We know the Fibonacci and the Fitzgerald inverse gives us the dodecahedron with the toroid through the 0 point. So what they're saying, it's a resurrection machine. Okay, just out of curiosity, also the Popol Vuh also features pyramids with glistening, shiny stuff pouring out the tops, which I think they're representing electricity, but that's a different video. Let's get back to the second people of the Popol Vuh. There's their hammers, there's the sticks, there's their elongated skulls, and they look African American. Or I'm not American, just African. I believe that this is where, because Hitler was into esotericism, as was Himmler. This is where they got the Nazi goose stepping from. It's also made its way into our popular culture in that this is from Pink Floyd, The Wall, showing the marching hammers, which is the goose stepping, which I believe that Pink Floyd, the artist who did the animation, probably also, again, the people who know about this stuff are artists, visually oriented people who are going to see these kinds of details and similarities in between things. Okay, so let's get back to our stick people. Now we go back to Egypt. This is El Kuro. Now the Popol Vuh also says that the stick people were mean to their grinding stones, which I take to be their pounding hammers. They were mean to their dog. They abused their dogs. I have found cave art where it appears like Cocobelly is throwing a dog or a dog is attacking this. There's various other things with dogs that I don't want to really show, but you can find them on the web, ancient cave art. And this is El Kuro. And as you can see, I believe they also made this to the Quiche Maya template, because this is phi, it's the golden ratio, it's everything. So this was the thing they used, and they're creating the dodecahedron. But I believe that later the third people came, removed the casing stones, and took the images that were there, perhaps underneath the casing stones, as not necessarily here casing stones, but just took perverted the original purposes. And since the original people venerated the high symbol and were monotheistic, I have labeled them the proto-Jews, which would be considered the apostate Jewish faith today, but they were actually beforehand. So let me show you how they abuse their dogs. I'm not going to say what it is, but you can see for yourself. So now we have another match from the Popol Vuh to Egypt that the second people abused their dogs. Just for I mentioned this in the other video. There's, in addition to that, really bizarre and I don't know, kind of grotesque scene going on there. With the dog and the guy enjoying himself. There also appears to be a butt with an anus, and these are legs. I don't know what kind of freaky scene they're trying to show there, but I do think that is where also Pink Floyd The Wall got the judge character, because Pink Floyd The Wall is an occult work of art. Okay, moving on. Gratefully. There is more of the stick figures. So this says the stick figures were not sacrificing to the gods, the mystic people, the second people of the Popol Vuh. So God sent the cataclysm, and I believe that's the Grand Hancock cataclysm of Atlantis of 9,650 BCE that destroyed the world. And it said it destroyed the world in a flood, and their dogs attacked them. This is an image. He matches the Fibonacci tree. There's also a constellation, the Ophiuchus constellation. The tail here got turned into serpens, the constellation serpens. This would be Ophiuchus, and the head of Hercules is right here. And these stars right here are the keel of the eagle of Altair and Vega. Okay, so this particular pattern from the Popol Vuh is replicated in the Orkney stones found in Stone Circle in Scotland. There are tunnels running deep within the limestone underneath the Mediterranean underneath the English Channel from and all the water there, I suppose, from Scotland to the Mediterranean. You can Google it. Should have popped up a blur, but I've done it on other videos. You can Google. They were making tunnels underneath because they were protecting themselves from the plasma blasts of the plasma deity above, which is also Darren Kuyu. All the underground cities. I think there's a lot. There's like hundreds of underground cities. It's crazy. We only know about the bigger ones, but there's tons of stuff that are like underneath mountains and underneath huge ridges because they were protecting themselves from the blasts. All right, so this image of the dogs attacking the stick people after the cataclysm, I have found on the Pyramid of Giza. It's my belief that this was actually the goddess Anath holding a snake. She was the original Judaic goddess of fertility and destruction. She's the oldest figure carrying what appears to be the snakes. However, it's just snakes in one arm and Lotus in the other because Lotus was the creative and the snakes was the destructive. And this was actually Anath, who was the original, the oldest that I can find, supreme creator goddess. Kali and Shiva would also be versions of Anath, as would Athena. Okay, so I hear flash warning. Also here is a dodecahedron, which they mistook for a head, but it's missing an eye and has an eye. It's my belief that there's a circle of dodecahedrons right here with a phi symbol in the middle, but that's another video. Okay, so the Popol Vuh also says that when the cataclysm happened, the stick people had their faces smashed with pots. That's what it says. It says their dogs attacked them, as we see right there. And I think that because he's also a constellation, and again, there's serpents and Ophiuchus, and because he is a Fibonacci tree, I am still looking into the idea that they chose their constellations by the Fibonacci tree. Which ones would fit. If they found a star that would fit in this Fibonacci tree and that they were working on, that became part of that constellation, but I'm still working on that theory. So the pots smashed their faces. You'll notice, this is an actual image from the Popol Vuh. This one looks kind of like a mask, almost like a Greek mask, the way they have the pottery smashed on, quote unquote, smashed their faces. And this right up the nose looks to me like what we see today still. The facial modification that goes on in countries all over the world that I believe is because they are making themselves, their faces, the plasma deity. There's the mouth and the legs, and these are the circles then that appear on the side of the plasma deity. And I don't think their pottery smashed them into their faces. I think they made pottery masks, and they did that with they're incorporating pottery shards in their face. And the Maya took that, or the Proto-Maya who wrote this originally, who were probably the Olmec or pre-Olmec, were the ones who wrote it as their pottery smashed into their faces. They're putting pottery in their faces, so that's how they saw it as. All right, so it's time to introduce our friend. Let me see if I can move him up here. Yeah, this is 51. And I know I'm skipping around a lot. It'll all make sense when I get finished. This is 51,000-year-old Denisovan cave art that was recently found. I recognized it from other works, and it is our skull, the Punisher skull. There's an eye. There's an eye. I believe that's the origin of positive and minus, positive and negative. I also believe that it contains the Tetragrammaton, because this is showing us that the Denisovans were the Proto-Judaic faith. They have based this upon the plasma deity, which created the monotheism and the birth of Hebrew. Here is the Hebrew is read right to left. These are the letters of the Tetragrammaton. There's the one with the little over. There's this. This became, this glyph right here became a serpent. And I'm going to show you that in just a second, but let me show you how this continued. This image continued in things like tiki masks. Let me bring it here. There, that's much better. You can see how the design continued. Here's another Polynesian mask. I believe you see the teeth at the bottom. I think that's a giveaway for that there is a that this is this image being continued. This is where all of this comes from. All the sticking the tongue out. I showed you how in Marvel Comics it became Lord Chaos, and a smoother version became Master Order. This is Polynesia. Here's our friend again. Okay, so you see the serpent coming down the nose. Many cultures have used that as a religious, have adopted that as a religious symbol, but this began with the Proto-Judaic faith. And that's unfortunately why the Judaic faith became associated with the serpent, and because the serpent is the devil in Christianity, with the devil and stuff. It's all hogwash, but this is the original serpent coming down the nose. This is from Turkey. You see it carved on a head. This is the ears. The face is on the other side. This is, of course, Egypt. So the tradition of the serpent came coming down the forehead here, lasted 50,000 years, because this is 51,000 years old. And this is at least 2000 BC. So roughly 50,000 years the tradition remained. So here he is again, and I'm going to show you how it's still today getting translated in popular culture. I've said before, I believe that there are movies that are well over what's going on in here. Here we go. That are also mining this image, this occult imagery for Hollywood. I have said that the Dark Crystal, I think, has a lot of occult allegories and metaphors in it, and mines the imagery. They even gave her a third eye up here. This is Agra, who is the mystic character, knows all about the planets and everything like that. She's missing an eye, and she has an eye. They gave her the third eye on the top, so you can see that's where Agra came from. I've also talked a lot about Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, the bad holy man and the good holy man. Look at the expression on his face. Look at the camera angle that you would be looking at this. It's right there. I mean, he's practically just recreated the shot from this character, from this piece. Spielberg, you know about that ancient Jewish mysticism, don't you, Spielberg? Okay, so. This is, now we're getting to Da Vinci. Okay, so Da Vinci, he Italian Renaissance, beginning of the Renaissance, really, 1400, something like that. His mother, what people do not know, was a slave from Middle East or North Africa. Chad is in North Africa. The Ennedi Massif is in North Africa, where I've been saying our stick people, our second people of the Popol Vuh came from. So Da Vinci's most famous work, the Mona Lisa, is theorized that it could have been his mother, and that his mother may have even been Chinese. not what I'm pointing out to is pathways of ancient Hermetic wisdom making its way to Da Vinci, which his name is actually Leonardo. Da Vinci just means of Vinci, where he's from. So Leonardo, his mother, I believe, is the one who, and they were close. So they lived close to each other, and I think his mother had a profound influence on his on who he became, and especially his love of esotericism, as you will see. And is Da Vinci's Mona Lisa self-portrait. Now, if you don't know about the Mona Lisa, it was commissioned by a guy who wanted his wife painted. This was supposedly his wife. Da Vinci never gave him the painting. And I don't think he ever gave him the painting because I think it's his mother. And I think he may have worked some of his own features into it, or maybe they just shared features because it's his mother. And the reason why she has the famous sly smile is because she is giving the secret. She's doing the slightly parted, and yes, as juvenile as it may sound, these are a substitution for women's legs, and it creates the yoni. She is secretly giving the symbol of the sacred feminine, and you can't really see it here, so I don't want to hear anything in the comments about, this is the most high res I could find, so I don't hear anything in the comments about you can't see it. I want you to look up the most high def resolution photo that your portrait of the Da Vinci's Mona Lisa that you can find. Zoom in, and you will find that he has put very subtly female sex organs in between the spread fingers of the yoni symbol of the Mona Lisa. You can just about see it right there. And if you think I'm full of what, it was also done by Peter Paul Rubens. This is the Garden of Earthly. The Fall of Man, because they're picking from the fruit there. Here we see Eve once again making the yoni with her fingers, just the same way that the Mona Lisa is Da Vinci's mother. And again, get your own high resolution, but there are female sex organs between those fingers as well. They were subtly, clandestinely, surreptitiously putting esoteric, occult knowledge of the sacred feminine within the patriarchy of Catholicism. Also want to show you how he's using the template. In fact, I don't even have to zoom in. There we go. See it? As far as it can go. But you can see how he's using the template. Da Vinci was aware of all of this, and it's going to become more and more apparent the way they continue. Peter Paul Rubens also is using the template. This is the tree. Okay, so what I'm about to show you are images that are found. It's been long known that Da Vinci will have a character like pointing somewhere or something, and if you put a mirror there, the point, the image will become something. There's a hidden image within the painting that the mirror creates. And there are 5,640,000 results for them on the interweb. I'm not going to show you each painting that I got it from. I'm just going to show you what I found because I'm saving some things for my book that I'm writing. But, it's clearly out there on the internet for you to find yourself if you really want to track it back. All right, so the first thing I want to show you, once again, here is our 51,000-year-old Neanderthal cave art. This is one of the images that are found, that's found in there. See the X right there. Again, these are hidden images that I've had to play with the contrast and to come up. By the very nature of hidden images, you can't see them. They are hidden. There's not going to be arrows pointing and saying, this is the 51,000-year-old Denisovan cave art, everybody. But if you look at the eyes and look at how it's arranged, I'll tell you what else. You see it right there? It's also Agra again, because Agra is based on that. So, but this looks more creature-ish. So you see Agra's face in there. Let me see if I can't even just match them up. And that she only has one eye. There we go. Almost looks like the Ferengi too. Okay, so now take a look at this bottom part. You know, there's about 3 faces here. It's like almost like a totem pole. Take a look at this bottom part, how this creates a mask itself. I saw it in the chest of the Sphinx. It's this mask right here. See the eyes, and then here's the little mouth down here. It's the eyes, and there's the little mouth. And the reason why that's there is because it is a dodecahedron, or a series of dodecahedrons. Again, the dodecahedron was sacred. If you ever, it was taught in the mystery schools. It contains all the other Platonic solids, including the ether. It was considered the greatest secret. If you even said dodecahedron, the word, in ancient Egypt, you were put to death. So there's the dodecahedron. Again, the intrinsic, static, inherent field that is the universe at its most basic is a series of compound dodecahedrons, which I believe are isohedron dodecahedrons, which means they're constantly in flux. They are the stem cells of the universe. They become anything that the universe needs to manifest. They also create, through the Fibonacci and Fitzgerald inverse, the toroid, which mystics believe brings everything from this world into the next dimension, which you could call the afterlife, or the Hindu called it the Akashic record, or that's called karma, the spirit world, and then the toroid then brings it back to you again. Call it karma, call it divine retribution, whichever you like. But there's a 0 point within the math of the Fibonacci and the Fitzgerald inverse, the Fibonacci tree. Okay, so I want to show you this. This is another hidden image in one of the Da Vinci paintings. And look at this creature down here. I'll draw it with my... Now, what it really is the female reproductive system. And that's the vagina, and this is the uterus. And it's more worship of the sacred feminine, right? And there's the eyes that I always see. That, you know, it's just a set of eyes. I've seen it in the pyramid and everywhere else. It's representing the female reproductive system, more sacred feminine. But I'll show you what also it is. See his face right there, eye and head. Star Wars Cantina much? Why is this guy in the Star Wars Cantina? Because Star Wars is a cult. Star Wars is a cult. Yeah, that's right. There we go. Kaboom. I see you, Lucas. Lucas! Yep, this imagery has been really mined a lot. People have known about this for a long time. Only you did not know about this for a long time. So here is another Da Vinci image that is hidden. And you should know that one should start to look pretty familiar. I mean, that got used a lot in different cultures and stuff, but it also used in our popular culture. Dun, 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 dun. Lucas, he's hiding it right in the open. It's like he didn't do any design work at all. He just went through all the occult imagery and said, I want that. Give me that guy. I'll put him in the cantina. Ooh, I really like that guy. Let me make him my really bad guy. Yep. All right, so let's go back to the Popol Vuh real quick. And again, it's all going to come together here at the end, okay? So be faithful. Here is the first people of the Popol Vuh. This is an image from the Mayan Popol Vuh. As you can see, they make the first people the mud people, they called them. They said they couldn't move their necks and they couldn't talk very well. That sounds awfully Neanderthalish to me. And this face is obviously, they are Moai. So the Moai are representing the ancestors who were, I believe, the Neanderthal or the Denisovans, and possibly even another hominid that could have been from man's past. But Neanderthal was with us up until 40,000 years ago. Homo sapiens that look exactly like us have been around for 300,000 years. Neanderthal predates that by hundreds of thousands of years. So they were around hundreds of thousand years before us and only disappeared 40,000 years ago. The Denisovans were also around. So was Homo erectus in Africa. Homo erectus was around for 2 million years. I believe that we have vastly underestimated the intelligence of the other hominids that we shared the planets with. This is what we are told that Neanderthal were, just these happy brutes, I guess, very, stronger than we are, which may also explain some of the heavy lifting that we see with the megaliths. But I think this image is incorrect. I think they probably did exist, but I think we're looking at more of something like this. These guys, this is another image from the Dark Crystal. And I believe that our Neanderthal cousins, our ancient Neanderthal cousins, were very wise in their own way and had used their time. They had perhaps seen the plasma deity themselves. These were perhaps our proto-Jewish faith, and I do not mean that in any insulting way whatsoever. Saying that the first hominids who were spiritual were Neanderthals. They were monotheistic, and through the plasma deity, they created the high symbol, so that in that they are monotheistic and venerating the high symbol, that makes them proto-Judaic. And they lived in peace for hundreds of thousands of years. You see how long the serpent emblem lasted, 50,000 years from the Denisovan art into the Egyptian. Didn't need any pollution, didn't need any nuclear weapons to nearly destroy themselves with, and handed us, Homo sapiens, a verdant paradise that we have ruined in 1,000 years. Really boggles the mind when you consider 300,000 years the world was perfect with us, and in the last 1,000 years we think we're so great with our Netflix and our avocado toast, and we've been the worst examples of hominids that have ever existed. Okay, so let's get back to Da Vinci because we're getting very close. Here we go. If you want to see the photo, we're getting really close. Here we go. I thought that they were very peaceful, spiritual people, and apparently so does Da Vinci. This is one of his hidden works in the art. And I believe that you are seeing right here, there's the eyes, there's the nose, a gentle giant. There he is. There is our Neanderthal man. He does not look like that. He is more this, and he's got his face painted white. He's the hair, the broad shoulders, the hands crossed at the heart. He is showing himself to be spiritual, and he has the female reproductive above his head as the goddess, and he has an erection, which is showing the refraction, the miracle of refraction, and he is making a vagina with his hands, like that. So it's the connection of life. It's phi, and we are looking at Da Vinci's vision of what the first mud people of the Popol Vuh really looked like. These were our proto-Judaic faith, the holy men. And, don't be so startled by the erection because it's even mentioned in the Tao Te Ching. So the male erection was seen as a very spiritually powerful thing because the refraction, which happens at the testicles, is creating the life force is refracting from the spirit world into our world through the refraction angle at the testicles where the semen is created. So they saw that's where the idea of mana came from, of abstaining from sex to increase your spirituality, celibacy. That's the buildup of that energy. So yeah, that's what I think we're looking at here. I think we're looking at a Neanderthal that was painted by Da Vinci, and this is the first people of the Popol Vuh, and these are the mud people, because they got mud on them, in a in that spiritual river Ganges kind of way. And these were our first holy men. These were our first shaman. I don't think they were simple brutes at all. I think they were spiritual, and I think that is what Da Vinci is showing us there. There's more going on here, though. If you see within the Neanderthal, there is another figure, and it appears to be a very skinny man of color, either African or Indian, with a beard and a bald head and eyes right there, and he's skinny, and he is within the Neanderthal man, almost as if he is taking over from that, that they are one. And what I see in this man right here, I also see this is an African mask, ancient African mask, that I feel is probably where that comes from. It's what that's representing, because it's skinny and the eyes and the mouth. There, that occult thing where people have eyes going up their face like that. That's kind of what they're doing, because what they're doing is recreating again the plasma deity on their faces. So they are elongating the faces, because the plasma deity always wasn't just a stick figure. Sometimes it appeared as sort of more insectoid, with a few branches coming off. So he also did it to Jesus in one of his Da Vinci photos. He's given Jesus a third eye, the bug eyes on the side. And I think there's a reason why he is matching Jesus to that image. And I'm going to show you. So there's that guy. He did the same thing with Jesus in that image. Oh, look. What's that? Is that a Samoan from Star Wars? Why would this character look like this guy from Star Wars? Everybody? Because Star Wars is a cult. Star Wars is... Jokes are free. Yep, a Samoan. Come on. Samoan, Lucas. All right, so if you spread out the image a little bit, play with the mirror a little bit, you see this guy a little bit better come to life. You can see how he's sort of like the Indian holy man. He's tattooed his eyes. It's all he's got bones or something sticking into his cheeks to create the legs, to create the arms. He's creating his face as the plasma deity. And I think that may be the root of all facial and earlobe, all facial modification may be creating the plate in the lip, everything to divide the plane. It's all creating the plasma deity with your face. He is also linking his hands together to create a vagina, and he also has an erection, but because he is a man of color, it is much more gifted than our more white-looking European Neanderthal friend. Again, he's making a vagina with his hands. There's an erection. It's the life, the phi going through, but there's the holy man. And I believe what we're looking at here is the second people of the stick people. They're stick people because they're very skinny people of color. They have the elongated skulls. Here is another version that's in another Da Vinci hidden painting, where I believe he's created the same guy, only it's a little more cartoony. This is almost a little more portraity. But again, we're looking at the same kind of religious holy man, proto-Swami, everything. Rabbi. You see, so it's again, and here's the reason why he made Jesus look like that, because he's saying that all of these guys are the same. They're one of these guys. And this is the good holy man from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. So we have the shaman, the holy man, the The priest, the rabbi, this that all came from this guy. And I think they were all of it. I don't think they were special. I think this was just the culture of they were all these. They were all spiritual like that. We're getting to the good stuff. Here we go. So I just want to remind you, in Africa, Egypt is in Africa, and the facial structure of the Sphinx suggests that it is African. It is not built like any other race except for an African face. With that said, keep that in mind as we see the picture that I believe Da Vinci took. It's coming up. So let's talk about the Shroud of Turin. The Turin. Now, I used to be really devout Catholic, Irish Catholic, and I was very much into the Shroud of Turin. I know that it had been radiocarbon dated to the Renaissance, and but there was argument against that it had survived a fire and been repaired during that time. So perhaps the radiocarbon dating was taken from a repair swatch and not the actual garment itself. However, since then, a lot has come out. This is in the Independent. The Turin shroud may have been faked by Da Vinci, which would match the radiocarbon dating. And only someone with Da Vinci's brilliance could have accomplished the hoax of the shroud. And further, American artist Lillian Schwartz, a graphic consultant at the School of Visual Arts in New York, who came to president, blah, 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 blah. She matched the face of the Mona Lisa to a Leonardo's self-portrait, used computer scans to show that the face on the shroud has the same dimensions as that to Da Vinci. There is no doubt in my mind that the proportions that Leonardo wrote about were used in creating this shroud's face. So we may be looking at a self-portrait. The shroud is, she ran it through facial recognition software, and the shroud face came up as Da Vinci. Now, here is Da Vinci. He's got a beard, he's got long hair, he's got a mustache. It's not out of the round. He's got a big crooked nose. It is not out of bounds that this could, she says, I ran it through facial recognition software, used computer scans to show that the face on the shroud has the same dimensions to that of Da Vinci. This is the shroud face. This is Da Vinci. What I also want to point out to you is what you can see on the shroud. I see eyes and closed eyes. Eyeballs and closed eyes. And there is no pigment or paint on the shroud. So it's been a mystery, and some would say that was the miracle of the shroud. I think that the fact that you see eyeballs and closed lids is a giveaway that this is a double exposure, that this is actually a photograph. And he had to sit for it for so long that he was looking up to check it, and then he would close his eyes again. I believe that this is a selfie, that he has painted his face white, and that's why to be like the holy men. And it's Da Vinci himself who is posing in the shroud as Jesus. I'm not the first person to think that. This is from the Smithsonian itself, from July. Oh, that's today. You can Google it. Is this the world's first photograph? Art historian Nicholas Allen has a radical theory about the image on the Shroud of Turin. He believes it was the world's first photograph taken 500 years before the known invention of photography. I think you are right, my friend. Let's take a trip through photography. 5th century BC, Chinese philosopher Moti mentioned the first obscura device. He recorded the image formed by light rays passing through a pinhole in a dark room. These dark rooms were collecting place or locked treasure room. So he's got a closed room, a tiny little hole right there, someone performing, and it would show up on the other side. Why? Because there's a miracle of physics known as camera obscura. There are definitely some things that we take for granted in this world that are naturally done by physics, but that are like magic. Fire is found on no other planet but Earth so far, and that could be considered magic. Electricity, the idea that you just have to quickly pass a magnet through copper, and that would create this electric fire, this magic fire. That's magic. Here is another thing that I believe is magic as reality. This is called camera obscura. And the way it works is exactly like your eyeball. Consider this a closed box. You just have this open so you can see inside. That is your eyeball. Your eyeball is a closed sphere. The iris to your eye is a tiny little aperture, just like you would put in here. The way your eye works is exactly this physical phenomenon. Light bounces off of an object from the sun or whatever light source, bounces off, goes into this hole. It actually flips upside down because it refracts. We have our miracle of refraction. And just the same in the eye. When you see the world, it goes to the back of your eye where it's read by cones and rods and turned into color. And then your brain... and then your brain flips the image so that you can so you can see what it is that you're supposed to be seeing. So that is the miracle of camera obscura. But for a camera, all you need is a dark box, a tiny little peg hole, and then enough light to burn an image on whatever you've got going on back here, to burn it on. In 384 BC, the philosopher Aristotle was able to understand the optical principle of camera obscura. He noticed a crescent shape in a partially eclipsed sun aimed on the ground through holes in a sieve, then saw gaps in the leaves of a regular tree. So my point to all this is showing you that this phenomenon has been known for thousands of years, certainly much longer than the late 1800s when we're told that this was discovered. And if there was someone who was going to discover this before anybody else, it would have been Da Vinci. So the groundwork was laid a long time ago. And again, an artist. So in 1826, the world's first photograph. So here we go from 384. Let's see, where was the 5th century BC, all the way to 384 BC. Then not until 1826. I don't buy it. I think the natural processes were around long enough to be able to tinker with, and somebody like Da Vinci could have figured it out. The world's first photograph, or at least the oldest surviving photo, was taken by Joseph Niepce in 1826 or 1827, captured using a technique known as heliography. Just means taking a picture from the sun. That was taken from an upstairs window at a niece's estate in Burgundy. 1827, he discovered that light from a pinhole camera projected onto an element that blocks shadow and light areas on a metal plate coated in bitumen. Da Vinci had metal plates, he had bitumen. I don't know if that's how he did it, but my point is there was nothing that Da Vinci did not have in his era that they had in 1826 that he couldn't have replicated or discovered first. Again, had he released this, it would have been considered deviltry and sorcery, and he would have been burned at the stake. It was a very superstitious time during that. This imprint stayed for a few. Okay, so now let's bring us to the shroud. Even though the shroud was made for the Da Vinci standards 600-700 years ago now, the image wasn't seen until 1898. You can't see the image on the shroud with the naked eye. When a negative image of a photograph taken by Secondo Pia in 1898, an amateur Italian photographer, he was the one who discovered that there was the image on it. So you didn't even know if you talk about hidden. You couldn't even see it until 1898 for what was going on. So this brings us back to Da Vinci. In June 2009, the British television station Channel 5 aired a documentary that claimed the shroud was forged by Leonardo da Vinci. According to the study, the Renaissance artist created the artifact by using a pioneering photographic technique and a sculpture of his own head, which I don't believe because I see the eyeballs. I think he was too vain. If he was going to have a picked photograph, he wasn't going to have the photograph be of a sculpture of his head. He was going to have it be of himself. The only problem is back then you had to stay there for a really long time for the image to burn into whatever it was burning into, and that was why he was opening his eyes, and that became the double image. And it suggests the image on the relic is Leonardo's face, which could have been projected onto the cloth. So, also, an Italian scientist reproduces the Shroud of Turin. So, it's it's not out of bounds that this is a forgery. So, and that Da Vinci would have been the one who was smart enough to think of how to do it. Now, let's look at the shroud itself. Now, based on the pictures that I've been showing you, something should jump out at you immediately. Look at this. These are supposed to be burn marks. And what have I told you repeatedly in these videos? Deliberate erosion, damaging the piece is all part of the hiding technique. It's hiding it out in the open. It's making people think, oh, this must be really old. Look how damaged it is. There can't be anything possibly here. And look who we see right on the, it's some guy going like this. This is our skinny stick people from the Popol Vuh. And if you don't believe me, there he is. So you'll also notice this is the plasma deity. There's the arms, there's a circle going in it, and the legs would come down this way. But it's our holy man, the second guy from the people from the Popol Vuh, the first megalith builders, because they had the hammers and they abused their grinding stones, and so there he is. So this is our holy man face right there. One of these days I'll get this right. See him? So he's hiding him right out there in plain sight. Now let's take a look. Here we go. This is, I guess we're ready for. Okay, no, I'm not quite there yet. This is the Shroud of Turin when it's just with the negative. And I want to show you some things on here already. Again, there's Da Vinci. I think that very much could look like Da Vinci's face. We have Deadpool here. I don't know if that's where he got it, but I just know it does look like Deadpool. But it's our plasma deity. There's the spheres. Sometimes we see the arms up. Sometimes we see the arms down. Sometimes we see the legs akimbo. Sometimes we see the legs like the mermaid, like Starbucks legs and stuff. I also want you to take a notice at his chest that supposedly is just random. See the eagle? It's just supposed to be random whip marks, but but don't be fooled. All right, so here he is. I've messed with it a little bit, the sepia tones and whatever. So a little more. Again, I feel like this is Da Vinci who has put white paint on his face like the mud people, and he is creating himself as Jesus, who he believes was one of the second people, one of the holy men that got venerated. So on the chest that I was pointing out to you, I see a face. And here, I'll brighten it up a little bit, bring it up forward. There's the eyes, and it appears to be like Hawkman. Like, see how he's wearing a mask? It's like, there's the eyes. It's our eagle warrior. These are the third people who we still are today. USA is the flag of the eagle. Who was it? North Korea, Russia is a two-headed. We're all the eagle called. And in the Popol Vuh, there is an ancient mythology to the Maya, the Quiche Maya. It says there was a cataclysm happened. They said split up, conquer everywhere. So what I believe is the third people were the bad holy man group of the plasma deity sect. And this is not the photograph, by the way. The only photograph we've seen so far is Leonardo's selfie as Jesus. And I believe that after the Popol Vuh says the cataclysm happened because the second people, the stick people, were not sacrificing to the gods, and that they had no emotions. And it's not that they didn't have emotions; they were just dispassionate and zen and everything. So they revolved. And but after the cataclysm happened, the eagle called people, the bad holy men people of Indiana Jones Temple of Doom, said split up, conquer everywhere. They weren't sacrificing to the gods. It's their fault. Let's wipe them out. And we've been doing that ever since, except we forgot that we're all the eagle cult. Okay, so, and to stop fighting once we got together. Now I want you to look at this. There is a face within the face. And I don't know. Dr. Seuss. Could Dr. Seuss have been called? You know, it's this kind of stuff that people go, oh, now you're just being ridiculous. Am I? I mean, there's two options. Either I'm just another crazy internet kook, in which case, who cares? Or second, artists know this. There are artists who know this, and they have been mining this material. If you tell me that doesn't look like Hawkman, I don't know what to tell you. And then the face inside, I'm sorry, that looks like the Grinch. And it also looks to me like Skeksis from the Dark Crystal, which I have said, and I know I lose people when I do this, but I am of the mind that Hollywood knows this stuff and has been mining this material for ages. And I will remind you that this is not the first time that I have found the Skeksis. There's his face on the shroud. That's who I think it is. Here is the Sphinx. That's the close-up of his chest. Look up here, this beak-like thing right here with eyes, like that. I believe that is also the Skeksis that we see here. I believe this image was mined. It's really just an eagle face. It's an evil eagle. It's another bird man. But it was the imagery was mined by Hollywood. Okay, so here we go. Here's the big finish. It's showing you the stick people from the Popol Vuh again. Men of color with hammers, very tall, very skinny, and with cone heads. Cone heads that look exactly like that. In fact, they are found all over the world. The Paracas people in Mesoamerica, Chad in Africa. We find the elongated head people all over the world. This is also what we find still. There are still people who, he's got his teeth filed, he's got something in his lip there. We still see facial modification from all cultures. And I believe it's still making the plasma deity, including extreme nozzle, with the plates in their faces. And my Christian friends, getting your Ash Wednesday, you are getting the plasma deity placed on your forehead. It's the exact tradition as that. It's just done with something you can wash off. Okay, so here we go. I took the shroud, worked a little magic on it. Other than the Deadpool guys, and this is Phi over here. You see the Phi symbol. And this is our plasma deity. But then I said, okay, well, what's going on down here? And that's when it hit me. There he is. I think they're both photographs, but this one turned out much clearer. So this is the one I'm going to focus on. I did a poll on my website, on my various social media pages to make sure I wasn't pareidolia. And more than half of the people, I posted this image and I said, what do you see? There are no wrong answers. And more than half of the people said, I see a cone head. I see a face. I see a person with features. There it is. I believe that is the one of the first photographs ever taken. It was taken by Da Vinci. His mother was North African. Told him all the esoteric wisdom, and that she learned from there. Or perhaps even if she was Chinese, she learned from she's Chinese from North and lived in North Africa. She probably knows a lot. But there are avenues, definitely through his mother, by which he would know esoteric wisdom. He was a genius, no one doubts that. The processes involved with photography had been known for thousands of years prior to Da Vinci. And what I believe we are looking at is, and keep in mind that the Rapa Nui birdman culture on Easter Island existed until the Renaissance period when they were found by the conquistadores. This culture was not eradicated from the earth until modern times. So I believe that Da Vinci traveled from Italy to Africa. All you got to do is cross the Mediterranean, and found the remainder stick people, holy men who were still in northern Africa where his mother was from, and he took the first photos of them and he placed them in the image of the shroud. Again, hiding surreptitious, because this is all about sacred feminine worship, surreptitious sacred feminine worship in the ultimate patriarchal religious symbol, which he was against. He believed, probably from his mother, because the Yanni symbol in the Mona Lisa, in the sacred feminine. He was a gay man. He was by all accounts, very nice man, and I believe that he really believed in Phi and karma and doing well. I have trouble reconciling all of that with all of the military weapons that he designed. But, you know, maybe he needed money, I don't know. But he was a complicated guy. But I think we are looking at, if not the first photograph, because I think the first photograph was himself, taking himself as Jesus. We're looking at the second photograph. This predates regular photography by 500 years. I'll zoom in. I see eyes. I see a head. I see he's done to his nose what that woman did. He's got the pottery in his face. He has altered his face. He has drawn the plasma deity on his face, and he has a beard there. This is a shaman. This is a holy man from Africa. He has a stick figure, one of the stick figure people from the Popol Vuh, one of the megalith builders, and that's the reason why the megalith building got lost. They sacrificed them all. Whatever ones didn't die in the cataclysm, when the third eagle people, when the eagle cult people got hold of them, they sacrificed them. They weren't interbreeding. Let me show you what the other guy looks like. Again, he's not so clear, but it looks like he's making some kind of like, he's making his eyes bigger, because again, he's making the plasma deity. So the eyes, just like in Viracocha has the wide eyes, you're making the spheres. And I think he's got something going on with his mouth there that he's doing like this, because he's making the legs of the plasma deity coming down. So he's making his eyes big and his mouth, because that's what the plasma deity figure requires. The bulging eyes for the spheres on the side, and the mouth going down. And it looks like he's got some things planned, because again, he's repeating the plasma deity. He's starting it again. Just like his eyes are the spheres underneath, now these marks are the spheres underneath. And they're repeating the pattern down their face. That's why they probably have eyes up here as well, it looks like. Again, remember I told you the occult thing where they'll put like 4 or 5 eyes going up either side? I think that's what he's got going on. But I think the eyes are made because they've made the cone head another plasma deity. They're just the spheres on the side that have been turned to eyes. Here's the legs. He makes his own eyes, the neck spheres under these arms, and he's making his mouth the legs, and they would become the new arms for this one. And he's just repeating the pattern down the face. But he doesn't come in as clear. I don't even know if that's the same guy. But I imagine they must have been tall, because I found out Da Vinci was 5'9" or 5'10", and if he's holding some sort of camera device, a primitive camera device, it looks like this figure is looking down at him. So I'm thinking this is a very tall man of color, very skinny, and Da Vinci recorded one of the last surviving stick people of the Popol Vuh that he found in North Africa, that he knew about from his mother, that he knew where they were, and he took some time, went there, and placed this photograph in the most sacred Catholic image of all time. It's the ultimate clandestine subversive work. And I also have, I was looking at the picture of the machine that I believe he had, an electric machine using a high symbol as a magnet shaped like a high symbol. But it's not a photograph. It's just a drawing. So I think it deserves its own thing, and I wanted to just focus on this. So there it is. I don't know what else I can say about it at this point, but I believe that is a man's face, and that we are looking at a genuine stick. One of the stick people of the Popol Vuh, the second people of the Popol Vuh. We're looking at the megalith builders. These are the descendants of the people who actually built all the megaliths all around the world. Okay, glad to be back. I'm Steve, and that's it. I hope this one goes viral. I really don't know what else you can do if you can't show that Da Vinci took a first picture, and who can't see that? I mean, that's just plain as the nose on your face. I'm Steve. Have a great day. I'll see you guys on the next one. Adelante.